let's go through the best ZZZ tips to get you from 0 to hero, or in this case from level 1 to levels 40 and 50, as this is an initial cap for our Zenless Zone 0 as of 1.0. Now I wanted to hold off on making this video until I got more information on farming efficiencies, as well as going through, my own personal perspective with the game. Although I just hit level 40 myself, I've already reached that during the closed beta, and to this point, I actually already have so many missions that I could complete that if I had time outside of streaming and making Genshin content alongside ZZZ, I'd probably be around 45 plus already. But I'm not here to make excuses. Let's go through the best tips that I picked up to help you progress through ZZZ the fastest and most pain-free. Before we continue, I just wanted to shout out my amazing Discord community, as they were the ones who actually helped me grab a few resources for this video. If you'd like to join in on a fun, cozy ZZZ community that's not too loud, come join us. We'd love to game with you. And just as a note, I'm going to be starting at level 1, so if you're level 30 or 40 plus, please skip to the next timestamps, or keep watching if you're an absolute Giga Chad. Now let's start with the tutorial, levels 1 through 20. Yes, you heard me right. Even up to the early 20s, you're still considered in the tutorial as a novice proxy. Although funny enough, the access to Hollow Zero and Shiyu defense are actually unlocked earlier in the Chapter 1 interlude. But from here, your main focus is to follow along with the main chapter quest, as well as trying to do any blue quests that you see out and about. These experience points are flat, and they do not provide any meaningful resources, which is something that from this point, you won't be needing much of, such as your character ascensions, weapon ascensions, skills, and down the road, drive discs. So from 20 to 25, you're actually going to be starting to hit a bit of a yellow light. Focus on ascending your character and main W engines to the highest possible value. In this case, it should be around level 30, I believe. And to be honest, that's all that the game wants you to do. Not much skill investment, core investment, etc. It's pretty simple up to this point, so don't need to worry yourself about this too much. Now, once you've reached past Chapter 2 and past player level 25, come back to this video. If you're already 25 plus, well, let's continue forward. First, let's address the level gating issues as well as the experience drop-off. The two I want to particularly highlight are going from player levels 30 and 32, and even as far as getting to 40 plus down the road. Players have experienced pretty substantial drop-offs in available EXP, and up until this point, you've had a plethora of blue overworld quests that have led to exploration or combat missions within each zone you've been in particular, 6th Street, and even the construction zones. Now that those are starting to dry up, how can we gain EXP? Well, lucky for us, up to this point, we've rarely used any stamina for much. And there are a few options that this game is already implementing that have made the push for these mid-levels easier. First, the amount of experience you get from farming and using stamina is quite nice. At 100 stamina use, you can actually get 1,000 EXP points, meaning 7, 8, 9 runs can easily net you a level. And if you're spending 300 stamina on average per day, 240 from the daily recharge and 60 extra with a nice cup of joe from the coffee shops, that should equate to 2 levels on average per week just off of farming alone. Next, there are events. 2 events actually. The first is the arcade multiplayer, which isn't the most helpful, but it still gives resources, and the other is the Bang Boo picture one. Now, these are the events as of this recording, but I'm sure if you're watching this in the future, much like other Hoyo games, you get to at least see 1 or 2 active events live, such that you should be able to gain at least 1,000 plus experience through quests alone, which is pretty nice for taking pictures of Bang Boo and running easy proxy missions. So just as a quick recap, we're actually getting EXP from doing missions, using our stamina, quick exploration, and events. Are there any more resources we can expend? Why, of course! There actually is, and it's in the form of Hollow Zero and Notorious Hunts. Now, for every 5 levels or so of Hollow Zero points that you earn, you can get up to 600 EXP. However, you are capped at 6,000 points per week. But these are non-costing and are a great resource for early EXP, as you don't necessarily need 2 teams for the majority of the available content. As well, Notorious Hunts are like your trounce domains in Genshin. But good thing, they actually don't cost a dime, because the purple variations that you get from higher simulation battles back in the HIA are the ones that you'll need to spend on. You get an extra 1,200 EXP just from doing our hunt fights, and you definitely want to start with these as soon as possible because of the resource pile that you'll be able to accrue 1 month, 3 month, 6 months into the game. Higher ascensions past around 4th core updates aren't terribly that necessary for mid-game content like level 30 and 40 enemies, so feel free to still do them and thus use your stamina to focus on other things. And that gets us to the conversation of drive discs. Oh, the CN community says to do them at 35 and you should be frugal and just save till 50. Personally, as someone who has used 1 to 2 top-ups every day, I'd say that it's actually quite worth it to start farming at level 35 for the first potential of gold drive discs. See, Much like the resource pileup that you'll be needing for the game a few months down the road, sure, you might be getting some trash discs in your first few go-arounds, but those can actually be recycled to become hi-fi master copies and noise reduction master copies for you to use at the music stores, like your Strongbox in Genshin. The more resources you grab and thus recycle, the more copies of drives you'll see to eventually land what you need. It's just statistics. And note that with drive discs, in order to Strongbox or tune the S-tier discs, you'll need the hi-fi master copy material, only obtainable by, you guessed it, recycling S-tier discs or Battle Pass. So grabbing some earlier than later, in my opinion, is great. Now, aside from the drive disc tangent itself, there is still a great reason to do them: EXP. Yes, each stage you attempt per 60 stamina, you'll receive the same 10 stamina to 100 EXP conversion, while also progressing your drive discs. Now then, we have the question of, do I directly start to farm them once I hit, say, level 30? No. At least wait till 35 so that you have the opportunity to snag at least one gold drive disc per run. And personally, once you get to level 40 and unlock higher skill material, just alternate focuses. From the odd levels of 35 and 45, you should have a slightly more emphasis on drives. 30, 40, and 50, try to go for skill, character, and weapon ascension material as you get a nice upgrade of resource offerings once you finish your Internaut progression quest. And before we wrapped up, I actually still wanted to circle back to top-ups. I did mention earlier that I was topping up at least once or twice per day. Well, good thing that the amount of polychromes needed to refresh are 50 for the first time, 75 for the second and third, 100 for the next two, 150 for the sixth, and 200 for the last daily attempt. So, if you're economical, why not top up at least once a day to get 600 more EXP? That would equate to 4,200 EXP per week extra, which is already half of a level going into your 30s. And finally, my biggest advice for this whole video that actually is going to shock you is that Hoyoverse and ZZZ did not intend the average player to push this far into the game at this point, a la level 40 and 50. Yes, it's available in the game, but truth be told, they only want you at level 30 actually by the end of 1.0. And that's a pretty reasonable number, especially since pushing to level 20 is quite easy. And then you start to learn about EXP management from 25 and onward. And funny enough, I actually talked about this exact issue with Sam Slade, the voice actor of Ambi. Take a listen.
But I just finished part 1 of Soldier's Quest, and I just ranked up to whatever you hit at.
Yeah, like 25, and then with the little EXP that you get from that, that's 26 after the chapter 2. Yeah. Wait, like you said catch up, like that's actually where the game wants you to relatively be at. Did you know that? Because a lot of people are like, I gotta get to the end of chapter 3, gotta get to level 45, do the shield defense, do all this like crazy endgame stuff, but like the game itself is actually pacing you exactly where you're at, surprisingly.
I think it's paced super well. There's just so much to do, and it feels like a traditional JRPG where the story is linear, but there's also more stuff on the side, which I actually really enjoy.
Yes, getting to level 30 or even as conservative as 25 will allow you to unlock the Notorious Hunt, both endgame modes of Shield Defense and Hollow Zero, have access to character quests, and a few more things past chapter 2. So realistically, as long as you finish past chapter 2, you're on par with what the game expects of you. So don't let these other leading creators give you this perception that you need to put more work into the game than you're already doing. With that being said, hopefully you've all gotten some great information on how to utilize the different aspects of the game to your advantage to gain levels quickly. I know I've talked mainly about levels 30 and 40 plus, but those are where most people are getting stuck. If you have troubles elsewhere, please reach out to me via our community Discord or even on my live streams over on Twitch. We're a growing ZZZ community over there, and it's great to see people enjoying the game with me. I also post a bunch of guides and build sheets on Twitter, so go check them out. And with all the chilling out the way, hopefully you guys are enjoying your Zenless Zone Zero experience. My name's Josh, and click on this next video. YouTube thinks you'll like it.